Hey, it's Brooks with Character Design Forge in a brand new space, and I've got some really huge new things to share with you. Plans, updates, merch, but first, a quick story. So I'll show off this space a little bit more in the next little while, but a gigantic thank you especially to my wife Tay, who's been helping a lot behind the scenes, especially with something new that you'll see in this episode. This is a story about a character that's almost as old as this channel, one that's gone by a lot of different names and designs over the last 5 years. I used to feel bad about updating and changing characters, but since I have yet to really sit down and complete this guy's story, it's been fun to take a new spin on him as I develop and grow as an artist and designer myself. I've also learned that character design is rarely a one and done thing. It's a process that benefits from iteration and focused time. Look, there's little baby me showing off the first sketches for a character tentatively named Port the Support. The character comes from a desire to tell a story where the healer, the medic, or the support of a traveling party is the main character. So naturally the character is under a lot of pressure, he's sort of grumpy, and he's generally underappreciated. As the years went on, he got the name Gorth. I named him Gorth. The biggest element you see next as we kind of get into the character design weeds is not only a materials change to this translucent green, but a really stocky build. I think I felt like if he's under all of this pressure and carrying that big backpack, he's got to be strong enough to carry it. He also gets this story point where he's made of a healing substance, so he has to give of himself to help others, which means that he could easily deplete himself out of selflessness. The character's definitely inspired a bit by a dog that I had growing up, thus the sort of floppy Cocker Spaniel ears. I love them in every version of the character. It really just makes him feel goofy, and it makes it clear that this guy might be grumpy, but he also isn't going to harm you. I also added just a dash of my dad in his personality. I've never been able to comprehend fully the amount of work, the amount of things, and the amount of directions that my dad is pulled in and can withstand. I'm kind of in constant awe, and people just expect him to do it all. So that's sort of the aspirational side of him. The grumpy dog is the polar opposite side. It's just a strain of influence. I don't ever base a character so heavily off of a person, because then the character does something awful, and it's like, uh-oh, I guess Brooks is really mad at his dad, the little green monster. In a way, this character, who I've now given the lasting non-placeholder name of Biko, has been growing alongside the channel as I've experimented and learned and grown as an artist, as I've further found my voice and style, and as more and more folks have shown up over the last 5 years of videos. There are now hundreds of videos. I've rarely missed a week, and the goal has always been to teach you, to help you out, to encourage you, or at the very least bring you into this process. Funny enough, as I've been working to help you create art and stories and more client work piles on, I've had less time to make my own. And go back a few months from now, and I was also struggling with my art looking the way that I wanted it to, finding a certain balance that I was looking for. So I set aside time, and I didn't use it to work on Instagram posts, not for Forge a Character videos, but to hone in on something artistically that I could be proud of. And the result is something that I'm immensely excited about, and it's called Bikos Backpack. So every month, Biko will drop off a new selection from his backpack right in your mailbox. It's new original art by me, featuring original characters that takes a physical form. So for example, in the first month, which is January, you'll get an enamel pin of the Wanderlumen's lantern. Now this is obviously the icon that you're familiar with in these videos, but it's also kind of like a symbol of creative light and energy to keep with you while you make stuff. These trading cards I'm also really proud of. We went through the extra process of adding this gold leaf, and I'm really happy with this Jacqueline illustration. And here's Biko himself, trying his best as a high quality vinyl sticker. And finally, a mini print each month featuring a larger version of one of the card arts. I let this one of Parcel slip in last week's video. The trading card, the mini print, and the sticker will be consistent every month, and I'll be throwing things like the pin in as well. I would say that the lantern is definitely not the last pin in the bunch. So for now, this will be the only way to get the things in Biko's backpack, unless I somehow have some left over and you're able to get them from me in person at a convention, and I wouldn't necessarily wait on that since the supplies are limited. You can either sign up just for Bikos Backpack on its own for a discounted rate that will only last a few weeks over at brookeseggleston.com/shop, or you can choose it as the latest tier on Patreon, which I'll talk more about in a second. So now, in addition to you getting new original art every month, what this enables me to do is to take back some of that time spent on client things and put it into making original stories. Shackleton, for example, the game that Mark and I have been working on that Jacqueline stars in, we're still making it, but the lack of time to put toward it has been brutal. So this enables that directly. If I've ever helped you out through my videos, if you're a fan of the work that I'm making, and if you want to see more of it, this is the best way to make more happen. So the way that things have been reorganized on Patreon, it's a little less complicated than it was in the past. Now things are rearranged, and each tier is one additional thing. Every tier includes the things that came before it, and one more thing. So Indomitable Courier is first, that's Parcels tier. That gets you exclusive Patreon posts and updates, and one new patron exclusive video per month. So these are longer form. Last month's was on rendering. The next, which is about realistic drawing, is coming this week. For the next tier, Wanderlumen and Koji switched places. I've tried to keep the Novice Bard critiques affordable for as long as I can, and they're still very affordable, but those take a lot of time, so I'd like to make them available to people faster. So Cosmic Wanderer is next. Just like the Wanderlumen, he peers deeper into things. You get one new higher resolution layered art file per month, which you can download, check out for yourself, and see how it ticks. So that's the +1 for that tier. Next is the Novice Bard tier. Here you get a personalized video critique of your work, and after that, everyone who stays in this tier or higher has direct access to me for follow-up questions about their work, draw-overs, additional critiques, and things like that. Folks have benefited from this a ton over the years. And by the way, this only affects new patrons going forward. If you were previously or are currently a patron on December 17th, you're grandfathered in as far as this tier is concerned. Next, it's the new boy. It's Bikos Backpack. Everything before it, plus a monthly package of new original art from me. And then finally, the Lamb of Liberation, streamlining things. This is one custom piece of art by me every month of your choosing. So a lot more straightforward, right? There's a more consistent understanding of what you're getting every month, and there's just like a ton of things. So I'm really excited about going into this new year with the new setup. I want to thank you so much for all of your support over the years, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching, and have fun creating. The child not included.